Evening, everyone. Welcome to this live. It's been a while, isn't it? A couple of weeks since the last one of these. If you have been here before, you know I've got 30 minutes to answer as many of your money questions as I can. So we're starting out at 7, end at 7:30. We are here on YouTube and we're also on Instagram. So however you're watching me, please do just fire away with your questions and I will do my best to answer them. If we run out of time, and generally we do often run out of time, don't forget you can head over to the Facebook group, becleverwithyourcash.com/community is the URL. That will take you through there, apply to join, and then you can ask a question. Admins do have to check it, make sure we don't have too many repeats, but then you'll be able to ask there, and either myself or the team can direct you to content we've already got, or all of you who I know are also helpful already, you'll be able to sort of share your experiences. Quick reminder as well, though, please do, when you write a question, just check over it before you press enter, or if you can go back and edit it afterwards if you've made a typo or something like that. Just makes this a little bit smoother and easier if I know exactly what you're saying, if it's in one single message and nice and clear. But let's get started, shall we? So Godey says, hi Andy, I got my switching bonus from Barclays today. I switched on the 10th, so very quick. That's really good, because they were talking there about how an X amount of time before the money would come through. It did say like that was like a maximum. So they are obviously paying some of this really fast. You must be one of the first ones. Really interesting to know. So remember the deadline for that one to start the switch is the 30th of November. So today's the 20th, right? So we've got 10 days for you to open the account, activate Blue Rewards and do all the things you need to do and then start the switch. But that could mean still chance of getting that cash before Christmas if you do it all pretty fast. So Radislav says, hi Andy, can one switch a Halifax reward account, of which I have 3, to Barclays and qualify for the £175? And will I qualify for the 5% cashback from Barclays as a new customer? Okay. Yeah, so this is a popular question. Did cover it, I think, last week as well, but I'll do it again. Not just with Halifax. If you have multiple accounts with any bank, switching away from one of those accounts will not close the other ones. Okay, it's fine. If you have a single account with a bank and you switch away, then that generally also won't impact non-current accounts you have with that bank unless they are explicitly tied, such as a regular saver, which requires you to have a current account, such as a credit card where the fee is waived because you have the current account, things like that. Should be fine to do that. In terms of the 5% cash back from the Barclays Blue Rewards, I think so. I think that's available to all Blue Reward customers. I mean, when you sign up to it, you'll sign up for the cashback rewards section of Blue Rewards, and it should be there. It should tell you. If it's not there, then there's a chance that you won't get it, although that is capped, so you're not going to make a huge amount of money from that, and it is monthly, so you'll have November, maybe you can do it in November and then December, but hey, if you're going to spend money on it anyway, you may as well give it a go. Let's have a look over here on Insta. Any questions that come through? I know you guys are much more likely to lurk, but that's absolutely fine. You can enjoy. Secking says, hi Andy, my question is, why are you so fab? That's very kind of you. I'll leave that for everyone else for yourself and others to answer that one, I suppose. Andrew says, hi Andy, a bit of a different question for you tonight. Are you expecting any banks or credit card providers to offer any Black Friday deals, i.e. switching offers or Amex boosted welcome deals? So no, not in terms of, hey, here's our Black Friday offer and we'll give you extra for this for switching or for savings or whatever it might be. Where there could be an increase there is within any cashback offers that are linked to cards. So American Express is a good example there. But, Monzo has just launched their cashback section to most, if not all of their customers. It's gradually being rolled out. I did an article about it. I'll cover it on the YouTube channel shortly. Halifax, Barclays, loads of these banks have those kind of extra ones. And often, not always, but often you have to activate the rewards. Now, that is about the retailers. The retailers want us to spend over Black Friday, so they might push more deals. So it's certainly worth having a look at all of those. So I think, sadly, it's probably gone by now. But, for example, American Express, some of their cards last week, and I did share this on Instagram and Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it. They had a spend £15 at eBay, get £5 back offer. And again, that's them, eBay, trying to encourage you to shop now. So definitely look at those kind of things. If I spot anything really good, and this isn't just about banks and credit cards over Black Friday, any kind of Black Friday deal, I myself and the team, not some this week, but mainly on Friday this week, we'll be sharing them on the website, becleverwithyourcash.com. And it's going to be slightly more curated. So it's going to be pointing out those ones which are kind of slightly more unusual, maybe retailer or specific, rather than here's a saucepan for £5. You know, that kind of thing. Unless it's an amazing saucepan. But you know what I mean. So becleveryourcash.com/deals. And on the social channels, we'll share anything that's really good on Friday. So yeah, if you don't already follow us, at becleveryourcash on Instagram, at beclevercash on X/Twitter. Ashley says, hi Andy, I'm a basic rate taxpayer and self-employed. I'm stuck on whether to put into a private pension as SIP, I would pay my mortgage, or put into a lifetime ISA. What would you do? Really good question, Ashley. And I think, sadly, there is no one answer for everyone because everyone's own situation is very different. I think all of those are good things to consider. Ultimately, though, you've got to sort of look at what each of them offer. So obviously putting money into a pension or a lifetime ISA. Well, into a pension, you'll get the tax relief on it as someone who's self-employed. For a lifetime ISA, you'll get that 25% bonus. They're kind of similar things. You're getting free money with both of those, but you won't be able to access them until you are retired. Although lifetime ISA, obviously, you could buy your first home if you don't already have a property. So yes, you get that free money, but it might take you a long time to get it. You're not a first-time buyer because you've got to overpay your mortgage. Again, that's great. Lots of benefits of overpaying your mortgage because if you can get down to a next level of loan to value, the LTV, that means when you do come to remortgage, you might have access to better deals. And obviously there's a peace of mind thing that comes with overpaying your mortgage sooner. So they're all kind of really good things to consider, but you've got to work out what for yourself is the best option. Or, of course, you can do all of them. There's no reason why you have to choose one. Why can't you put some into your mortgage, some into your lifetime ISA, some into your pension? But I would say just do make sure you have got emergency savings accessible to you, because obviously any of those things, you're not going to be able to get hold of that cash at any time soon if you need it. You'll have to wait. Sell your house really is the most realistic way you'll be able to get money there, and there's no guarantee that could happen, and retire to get the other cash. Guimo says, hi Andy, I have £1,700 in the NatWest regular saver, 6.17%. Should I move my money to the Nationwide regular saver, paying 8%, or keep the sum in Nationwide, but stop paying into it while I focus on, or keep the sum in NatWest, but stop paying into it while I focus on Nationwide? So, really good question in terms of regular savers. And I think one of the things you've got to bear in mind here is, though, that all regular savers have a cap, how much you can transfer, how much you can pay into them. Now, the top of my head, the Nationwide one is, I want to say 200, could be 250. It's not a huge one. The rate is good, but the amount you can pay in isn't massive. Whereas the NatWest one is even lower. That's 150 quid, although you can, if you do top up through spending, you can get more into it. So if you are, let's say the Nationwide one is 200, let's say it could be different, but £1,700. So you're looking at 9 months ish for you to move all that money over into the Nationwide account. So you can do that, move it over bit by bit. However, that's assuming you don't have any new money to save every single month. Now, you might not have the full amount, the full £200, but if you do have the full £200, again, top of my head, that's what it is for Nationwide, then just pay that into Nationwide anyway. Leave the money in NatWest, put the most you can put into the regular saver with Nationwide every single month, and anything left over, that 6.17% with NatWest is not a bad second option for anything else you've got. Just do check with both of those, the accessibility and what happens if you take money out of those, if you can put it back in and things like that, because obviously all regular savers do work differently. Groove Champion says, what is the best Black Friday deal you have come across? For this year, at the moment, it's still early days and it's very product specific. And I think this is the big thing about Black Friday. Covered it in the podcast last week, and the next episode of the podcast will be available to download on all podcast apps tomorrow morning and on YouTube in the evening about 5 o'clock. Saying both of those things, I say all the time, is what do you need? I could tell you there's a fantastic deal on, a vacuum cleaner. If you don't need a vacuum cleaner, it's not a good deal. So it's more about what do you need? Look for those things. Research it. You've still got time now. Use the price history tools. Did a video on this just last week about how you can look at price history to work out if a price you see now is actually a good price or not, because they are a bit cheeky about these things. Then you'll find the best deal. Now, having said that, if there are general household things you want to say, so my article today I don't always have the Metro column next to me, but I took a photo of it earlier. So this is my Metro column from this morning. Use Black Friday to save all year. And in that, I write about it's a good opportunity for you to buy the things that you would have all year round. So Boots is a really good example of this. If there's a really good offer at Boots, and maybe you can combine it with cashback from airtime rewards and also from Top Cashback, or maybe Quidco often does this. Quidco is a really good one to look out for right now. They have daily boosts, extra bonuses on top of the cashback. Let's say you can buy all those things together and you buy the stuff that you'd normally get from Boots over the next 3 or 4 months. As long as you've got the money for that and the space for that. Beauty products, okay, not that I spend a lot of money on these, but there's certain things that my wife likes which are maybe a bit more expensive. I know, conditioners or whatever it might be. You can get that stuff, not normally discounted, but maybe now you could combine them and do all of that. So this is a good time to look for those kind of things as well. Lauren Tew says, hi Andy, well, what do banks think about your work, especially regarding bank switches? Do you mean my work or just generally? I think you mean more general. When they ask for your job, how important is that? Do you know what? I don't know. I think when it comes to insurance, we all know that your job is really important. It makes a big difference in terms of the price you're going to pay on your insurance premiums. And sometimes you can have, how many of us know like a job title is one job title for what we do? So many times you can say, well, I do this and I do this and I do that, because the actual thing, your official title probably isn't written there. So I could say journalist, I could say editor, I could say managing director, because I am managing director. Be Clever Your Cash, I'm all of these things. And I could get a different price for all of those. Similarly, like with teachers, you can get, you can be a teacher or a nurse, but a different kind of word in front of nurse. You can't lie about this. You've got to say the truth. But as long as it is true, you might find your premiums change massively. So certainly with insurance, your job does make a difference. In terms of banks, I don't know. I think I guess they're going to have all sorts of things that come into play. If you're talking about credit checks here, so credit cards or applying for a new current account, there may be bits where they go, okay, they have a certain job, certain sectors they might class as probably higher risk, and maybe they might have more stringent measures you have to get through in order to be accepted. I don't know about that. They have all that stuff. They'll keep that to themselves, and it won't be anything that's universal. Really, what they're mainly going to be looking at is, your salary and sort of evidence of sort of, your credit report. Check who you are, but particularly credit cards, your history with credit and things like that as well. But it shouldn't make a difference in terms of bank switches themselves. Eurotora says, hi Andy, as it appears rates for savers have peaked, is now a good time to tie up monies for longer periods? So, I've said this a few times. Every time we think interest rates have peaked, I've said that it would be a good time to fix, with the caveat that you don't know what could happen. Things could go up again. However, it does now look like we really have peaked. And I do talk about this again in the podcast tomorrow morning, so do listen to that or watch it tomorrow afternoon if you'd rather watch it. I have seen myself and the team every day, becleveryourcash.com/savings. We are updating the best buy tables. And every day we are taking away people, more so, and the people we're adding in to replace them, because we have like the top 4 or 5 from all the different sort of categories and different 1-year fix, easy access, notice, all that is. Apart from easy access, actually, where there isn't changing, but in all the fixes, they are going faster, and we're putting things in at lower rates. There are always exceptions. There are always going to be the odd provider who want to be at the top of the table. So a good example, case in point right now, Metro Bank, 5.91% for a 1-year fix. That kind of bucked the trend and came in at the top. Not as high as previous people were just a month ago, but higher than everyone else. But broadly speaking, certainly it was the last few months, the best fixes have gone. And I would not be surprised if they continue to go. So if there's money you can lock away, then certainly it's not like they will say close the gate before the horse has bolted or whatever it is, right? Do that, because they're going to keep going. These rates are going to keep going. There is always, again, though, that caveat that a provider could come in and go, boom, we want to be back on the top, and we're going to go things up, and then others follow it to go up like that, to go catch up a little bit to decrease that gap. But I wouldn't expect we'll be getting any 6% rates. Never know, but I wouldn't be surprised. And certainly the way things have been going, it's certainly something to think about. Andrew says, hello from Wales. Hello to Wales, sorry. Robert says, I'm thinking of buying a car. I've got the money to pay outright, but how can I save money on it, e.g. cashback? It is very difficult to get cash back on buying a car, new or used, because often they'll exclude that explicitly. So Chase excludes it from those kind of products. Other places, again, if they don't exclude it, the car places might not take credit cards and things like that. So it is very, very hard to do that. I suppose You could look at stoozing, slightly different way of doing it. I've got a whole video about stoozing from about a year ago now, and an article as well, so you can check both of those out, either one you prefer. And stoozing is where you would put the money on a 0% credit card. I've just said most car places won't take credit cards, will they? You could put that money you've got for the car towards your other spending and put normal grocery shopping and things like that on a 0% credit card instead. Yeah, I don't think it's going to work. If you're interested in stoozing, watch that video, but I don't think it's going to work. Anyone got any tips? Please do share that. John says, any information on the new Asda Money credit card? It is not new. It's been around for a while. I have got a full review over on becleveryourcash.com. You can check that out. And I have spoken about it in credit card updates, my monthly updates that I do on credit cards on the YouTube channel. So there'll be information there. Broadly speaking, if you shop at Asda, you'll get, I think, around 1% back on your purchases, which is decent. But you can get 1% on purchases at Asda with an Amex or a Chase card, which would also get you 1% elsewhere. So I would look at those other cards instead personally. However, there is at the moment an offer where you get a £20 bonus to your Asda Reward cash pot if you spend 50 quid at Asda in the first 60 days. So that could be worth looking at just to get that 20 quid. But remember, all these credit cards, do that eligibility search first of all to ensure you are eligible for it, and do look at other options. I am going to do a credit card offer roundup, also looking at the Shop Small promotion, which is coming back from American Express. Probably not this week, maybe early next week, simply because on Wednesday, we've got the autumn statement from the Chancellor, and there could be a huge amount in there. So that's probably my main video this week, but I might do something for the weekend looking at those different credit card options. I also did cover them in the podcast last week, so do check that out. Episode 346, I talk about cashback credit card welcome offers. What we've got over here. Mr. Andy Gary says, do you think Chase will increase their Chase Saver interest in the near future? No, I don't. They had their moment where they were top of the table. They played that game a little bit where they kind of competed with others. And then they thought, right, you know what? These guys can shoot ahead. We've got a very large customer base of people who are happy to keep their money here. And that's fine. They're getting an okay rate, 4.1, I think, isn't it right now for Chase, isn't it? Which is well off the top. Easy access now, 5.22 from Metro. But some people go, do you know what, I'll keep it in one app, and they'll do that. And if we are seeing rates falling broadly, then there's no reason for them to increase them. I mean, the variable rate, they may even reduce them. They might find that if one reduces it over time, they might go, oh, we don't want to be here. Let's go down a little bit as well. But I wouldn't imagine they would go up. And while we're here, I don't often get so many here on Insta. This is great. So Bob, Speedy Bob says, is chip investments good or bad? Sadly, I don't cover investing here on the channel, but I'm sure if you do your research, you'll find some people who will be able to give you some insight on that. The main thing to think about there, obviously, are the fees. Is it going to cost you more? Are there cheaper options out there? Jay Lunham, paying tax on savings. How do I know that HMRC are taking the correct amount? Very good question. You will have to look at if you're not paying self-assessment, so they can do it automatically for you, so you're not doing the form where it all come through, you will your tax code will probably be changed. So when you get that in the new year, your new tax code, the new financial year, that will be whatever the personal allowance is, currently set at £12,570, £60. I mean, that could change on Wednesday. If it does, I'll let you know. And so that would be 12,570. Yeah. And if that's lower than that, that's how much they've taken off for interest. So that's a way you can work out that if those things add up, because you'll hopefully know how much interest you've earned over the personal savings allowance. Not easy, is it? It's not great, but that's that way you would do it. Conflictor says, hi Andy, I know you have been asked this 100 times, but any news regarding the Chase credit card? Sadly not, Conflictus. It's on their roadmap. They'll do it at some point. If it's good, well, I'll tell you about it anyway. If it's good, I'll obviously do something in much more detail. If it's pretty bang average, I'd probably just do it in a roundup, but nothing as yet. Anonymous says, hi Andy, thoughts on whether the Lloyd's monthly saver is worth it since there's only a 1% difference between the rates for it and the top paying easy access accounts? Yeah, this is the thing about regular savers. Over time, they've always been the best paying accounts, the ones that have beaten inflation and have been way, way, way above what you get elsewhere. But what we haven't seen as the base rate has increased over the last couple of years is a significant movement in those regular savers compared to a very significant movement in easy access. So though at the top we've got that nationwide one we spoke about, 8%, we've got First Direct at 7%, we've got Club Lloyds at 6.25%. You then got like and the NatWest and RBS at 6.17%. You've then got a whole loads of them at 5.5%, 5%, 4.5%, or much lower. When I say the best easy access, 5.22, Metro 5.2, from Ulster there's a new one from Kahoot today, 5.2, but only up to £3,000. Is it worth it for that little difference up to 5.5%? Probably not. But if we are talking about 6.25%, a whole percentage point difference, then yeah, I think it is worth it, particularly if you've already got it. Plus that Club Lloyds current account does come with those freebies. The Disney Plus offering, sadly, since the start of November is not as good as it used to be. It's now the Disney Plus with adverts for newbies. Don't worry if you've already got it, that won't change, but when you come to renew it, it will have changed. And there's often switching deals. So from that point of view, I think the Club Lloyds account is still a good one to get. And if you got it, why not get that 6.25%? But if you've also got a First Direct account and you've also got a nationwide account with those higher rates, then they're probably better ones to prioritize. And bear in mind, access to all these different accounts, obviously easy access, you can get it whenever you want. Ishrak says, is it impossible to get the Barclays incentive as a current customer? I tried using a different phone number and email, but they managed to link my accounts together. This has caused a lot of chaos. Yes, the banks know who you are. The banks do not just look at your phone number or your email address. The banks will look at your credit report, and they will do that to check you are who you say you are. They don't want people fraudulently opening accounts and things like that. So you can't fool them, right? They know who you are. And sadly, the rules are, although there was a lot of confusion early on, and I got told something by Barclays, which then they kind of, the wording of that was also incredibly confusing. It turns out that it wasn't quite correct. But ultimately, the only people who can get it are people who have not had a Barclays current account, an open account, since the 31st of October. So if you close one on the 30th of October 2023, then you'll be eligible to open a new one as a new customer and go for it. But if you had one open on the 31st or anytime since then you weren't eligible. I mean, it's not been the best switching offer. Great, but not the best one compared to a lot of the others. Oh dear, Werewolf. I'm not going to be able to I'll share the question, but I won't be able to help you massively on this one. I've had an offer on my first home accepted today. Have you got any advice regarding choosing conveyancing, lawyers, surveying services? So all I can share with you is what our experience was, and that was not good. And me as a money saver, always trying to find the best deal, right? But they often say, cheapest isn't necessarily best, and I'm an advocate of that. I don't always think you should pay the lowest possible price for certain things. You pay more, you get more. So I had a look at some of these websites where you can look at reviews. I can't remember what it was now because it was about 6 years ago, and found someone who got decent reviews, and I went for one that wasn't like super expensive because there were some really expensive ones, and he was horrendous. It was a really awful and stressful experience. So I would urge you to ask friends, ask colleagues, ask neighbours who they used and whether it was any good or not, whether the service provided was up to scratch. And see if you can get a couple of options and get a couple of prices and then go with them. If you don't know anyone who can provide that information, it's a bit of a Wild West. And I don't envy you being in that position. But congratulations on getting that offer. So that's really, really exciting. Dennis says, hi Andy, is it true that sometimes I'd be better just to pay tax on savings interest on a 5.2% easy access account? So you guys know that the ways you can avoid, the word avoid is not always the best thing, but avoid paying tax on your savings are to put them in an ISA, and up to £20,000 can be added to an ISA every single year, or into premium bonds. Up to £50,000 can be kept in premium bonds full stop. That doesn't renew every year. That's just 50k you can put in there. So we're talking about decent chunks of money there. Now, if you are paying, let's say 20% tax on your savings, and the rate you're getting is 5%, 20% of that means you'll be paying on the interest above £1,000 will be actually the equivalent of 4%. What can you get in an ISA? Can you get more than 4% in an ISA? At the moment, you can get more than 4% in an ISA. So you'd be better off putting that money into an ISA. Similarly, the premium bonds, the prize rate, which isn't the same as interest rate, is 4.65% right now. Is that better than 4%? Well, there's no guarantee that you'll get that, but you'd hope you would, with average luck, get above 4% on sizable amounts of money, not on a couple of £100, but on sizable amounts. So in which case, whack it in premium bonds. But if we're only talking about a few £100, or if we're talking about rates which in those other accounts are lower, so let's say the best ISA was 3%, then pay tax, get the equivalent of 4% on that interest that's additional. Remember, you've still got your personal savings allowance, you just pay tax on the money above that. Paul says, any news of a Santander switch coming back? Afraid not. How are we doing? Robert said my echo is all. Oh God, my audio is echoing. Sorry about that, because we've only got 5 minutes left, so I'm hoping it hasn't been too bad for you guys. Let's check over on Insta. We'll try and race through these last 1 minute as we can. Jamie says, I've just switched to Nationwide. If I now switch to Barclays, will I tarnish my credit rating? So this is an important thing with any credit application, not just bank accounts, which you open a bank account for bank switching, so you have a credit check on the majority of those. But if they're bank switching deals, there will be credit checks, but also new credit cards, a mortgage, some mobile phone contracts, some energy deals. Every time your credit credit report is checked, that is noted on there. And the more of these you do in a short space of time will appear, it will reflect on your score, which will drop down slightly. And lenders might look at that and they won't necessarily know. They can obviously look and, oh, it's a mobile phone, it's an energy thing. But if there were lots of things at the same time, particularly with credit cards, lots of applications like, oh, this person's really desperate. They're trying lots of places because they need lots of things. And that might mean you're more likely to be rejected for things the more applications you have. So that's something to bear in mind. But if you haven't got anything important coming along, you haven't got a mortgage or remortgaging thing, you haven't got a 0% balance transfer credit card, things that will make a big, sizable difference to your finances coming up, then it doesn't matter as much. But the proper official guidance from the credit reference agencies, who had Experian on the podcast a couple of years ago, and they will say something like, ideally space them out every 3 months. Okay, so anything more than that, any faster than that, then you are running the risk of your report in the short term having a negative impact, and it'll coming down. But if it doesn't matter, you don't mind, and you've got time after it to work its way back up, and you're responsible with this credit when you have it, then then hopefully that won't make a difference. Again, I've done it very, very quickly. Sometimes I have 3 or 4 applications of things in a month, and it's been fine. But that's my personal situation. You have to think about it from your own side. Adam says, hi Andy, I have a few current accounts. Does swapping which one I have my wages paid into affect my credit score despite not opening or closing any accounts in the process? Nope, no difference at all. They won't pay any difference to any notice of that at all. Mini Man says, evening Andy, debt free with 3 months essentials in the bank. Well done, that's fantastic. What would be the best to do with the other than overpaying the mortgage with spare cash? So it depends what you do, what your job is. If you're a freelancer, maybe you want to have maybe a bit more money in the bank available to you, because obviously income can be quite variable. So you might want to sort of do longer than 3 months, maybe 6 months. You might want to do that anyway, but 3 months is a really good thing to do. So well done for achieving that. If you think about any other big expenses that are on the way, do you know what? The car's going to need some work next year, or there's that holiday next year. You might want to have more money available to you in easy access accounts for these other things, not just really eating into the emergency fund, so you have to top that up again. Or mortgage is good. We talked about this earlier on. Pension, if you are employed and you're a high rate taxpayer, then putting more money into your pension means you'll get 40% tax relief rather than 20%. So that could be a good way to boost your income as well. Or, as I said earlier, a spread of all three. Guys, we are not going to get through all of these. There's about a dozen questions still on YouTube. So let me try and do one more here. My Money Matters says, evening Andy, do you know when First Direct are finishing the switch offer? Sadly not. However, historically, other than during the pandemic, and a few times where they've changed what the type of offer is, First Direct have been relatively consistent, always having one. Doesn't mean that's going to be always the case. Remember last Christmas, I think it was, they did actually pause the switching deal for a while because they were inundated with people, because I think they did something extra or something new. So they paused it for a bit over Christmas, and their call centre staff couldn't deal with it. So you never know. But broadly speaking, it's one that has always been there or thereabouts. 29, okay, one more. I'll do one more, then I'm going to disappear. Try to do a quick one. Right. There's two. These are two long ones to read. Hey, John Stapleford said, "Hi Andy, I don't want to switch my present current account. Can you recommend a dummy current account to start for future switching purposes?" Yes, I would say that whoever you're with right now, potentially open up an additional account with them. Not all banks will let you do this, but that's often an easy way to do things, often a bit quicker. Starling and Monzo and Chase are the only ones that won't do a credit check. So that's a really good one to look at it that way as well. So you can open up one of these accounts with no hard credit check. However, if you switch away from them, it can be difficult to get back to them. So Starling and Monzo, you switch away, it might be a year before you can open them up again, and they are good accounts. So tend not to do that. And Chase, if you only have a single current account with them and you switch away from them, you might never be able to open an account with them. But open up a single Chase account and then open up a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth within the account. You have up to 12 current accounts within the Chase app, single debit card, but all within the app. You can switch one of those away and it won't impact the rest of that. And again, no credit check. So Chase is actually probably not a bad bet to go for. I have got an article and I have got a video going into more detail on those. So that's more information there. I hope to be helpful. That's all we've got time for this week. We'll be back in a couple of weeks. Will it be December? Minimad said, will the Christmas jumper be coming out? Maybe we'll have a Christmas special in a couple of weeks. I'll let you know. becleverwithyourcash.com/newsletter is where you can find out everything for everyone else. The best of the blog, the best of the YouTube, the best of the podcast, the best of the deals, and dates of when these lives are happening. So if you haven't already signed up, please do. So have a good week, a good Black Friday. Don't spend more money than you can afford to. Don't buy things you don't need. And check us out on socials if you want to get more insight on what we think is good and what we think is bad. See you guys soon. Bye.